In this video, we will discuss creating assemblies and subassemblies for corridor modeling. If you'd like to follow along with this video, please open the file creating assemblies for corridor modeling.dwg located in the training folder as discussed in the working with this dataset video. It's always a good idea, somewhere in your drawing, you create some sort of area where you can define your assemblies. This way it'll be easier to zoom to them when needed. To create an assembly, navigate to the Home tab, Create Design Panel, and then the Assembly dropdown, and we'll click on Create Assembly. We'll call this one TYP01 for typical 01, and in the assembly type dropdown, let's leave it set to Other. However, notice that these other settings, if you were to use them, they're used for super elevation calculations. These must match any of the super elevation calculations done by the super elevation wizard. We'll leave our style set to Basic, and our code set style, let's leave it set to All Codes as well. Go ahead and click OK, and let's place our placeholder in the drawing, and there's our assembly. Pretty simple. Subassemblies, however, use the tool palettes. If your tool palettes are not open, you can press Ctrl+3 to open up your palette, or navigate to the View tab, Palettes panel, and then we have the tool palettes right here. You'll notice the tabs are categorized nicely into the different types of subassemblies that you may want to add. If you ever have a question as to what a subassembly does and how you can use it in your design, simply right-click on it and choose Help. As you can see, the help shows you exactly what this subassembly will do, how you can attach it, all the parameters and descriptions that'll be available to you with this subassembly, as well as if you scroll down to the bottom, what each of the different codes is named and where they're defined along the subassembly. This is very useful when wanting to control the display of the different codes. Again, point, link, and shape codes. So let's go ahead and start adding subassemblies to our assembly. Let's navigate to the tool palettes, and let's click on the Lanes tab, and we'll use the Lane Super Elevation AOR, which stands for Axis of Rotation. We'll click on that subassembly. Whenever you click a subassembly, you will want to have your Properties palette open as well, as all the parameters that you can edit from that subassembly are defined here. Notice the different parameters that you can change. You can change the width, the slope, different depths for different pavements if you have any, base depth, sub-depth, and so on. We'll go with the defaults and click on our assembly. Because we have prompt for name turned on, we are prompted for a name. We'll call this one RT_lane and go ahead and click OK. And there's our subassembly placed. Let's navigate to the tool palettes again. Let's go ahead and add a curb. Click on the Curbs palette, and let's go ahead and click on Urban Curb Gutter General. We'll go to the Properties palette and notice all the dimensions that you can change for this subassembly. Let's say we want to change the subbase extension to 0.5. Press Enter. We'll zoom in, making sure that we get the correct point, and go ahead and click on it, and then for the name, we'll call this RT_curb. Click OK, and there's our curb. Lastly, let's go ahead and add a daylight subassembly. As you can see, there are many daylight subassemblies that you can choose from. We'll go ahead and pick on Daylight General, navigate to the Properties palette, and notice all of these different parameters that you can define for this daylight subassembly. Let's make sure that we have our side set to right. We'll zoom in and go ahead and click on that point, and we'll call this one RT_daylight. And click OK. And there's our right side of the road. Let's press Escape. And now what Civil 3D does provide is some really nice tools. We'll go ahead and select all three subassemblies individually. And if you look at the ribbon, you have some modification type tools. We'll click on Mirror here. As I always say, if you don't know what to do, look to the command line window. Let's go ahead and click on the Select Marker Point within Assembly to mirror. We want to mirror about the assembly, and notice how we're now prompted for each of the different subassembly names. We'll just change this to Left Lane, Left Curb, and of course, Left Daylight. And there's our left side. Press Escape to clear your selection set. Now let's say though, on the left side of the road, we want to add some sort of sidewalk. So let's go ahead and select our daylight and go ahead and delete it. Navigate to the tool palettes. Go ahead and go on the Curbs tab. Here's a good one, Urban Sidewalk. Let's go ahead and click on that. Navigate to the Properties palette, and we'll go ahead and choose left side here. And notice the options available. You can define an inside boulevard width, and a sidewalk width, and an outside width as well. Let's say we want our default inside boulevard width to be 5 feet. We'll type in 5 and press Enter. We'll zoom in, and we'll go ahead and click on the point that we want to add this to, and we'll call this one LT_SDWLK for sidewalk. Click OK, and there's our sidewalk subassembly. Lastly, let's go ahead and just mirror the daylight again by selecting it, choosing mirror, and then picking the point that you want to mirror about, which is right here. We'll call this one LT_daylight. Click OK, and there is our completed assembly with subassemblies.